It's finally time for the Browns to play some real football. Let's talk about it on the BJack 70 show. Welcome back to the BJack 70 show. I'm your host, Brandon Jackson. Thanks to all the new followers showing up, new subscribers showing up. Appreciate you guys for being here. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and let's talk about some Browns football, man. Um, the work week is over. As this is dropping, Browns are traveling to Chicago to play the Chicago Bears in their first preseason game. Let's take stock of what we know and what we feel about this Cleveland Browns football team heading into the first preseason game. And number one thing we got to talk about, everybody else around the country is talking about the quarterback competition. Deshaun Watson has been named the preseason game one starter. And that means Todd Monken said the starter is going to get probably the whole first half to play. The starters are going to play some. Don't know how much all the starters are going to play. But the starting quarterback is going to play a half, and then that second quarterback is going to play about a quarter, and then they'll probably get Dylan Gabriel and Taylor Green in there. We'll see how much. But yeah, Deshaun is going to start this week against the Bears. Shador is going to start next week against the Bills, which is interesting because next week the Bills are in town for joint practices. So Todd said he doesn't know how many starters will play in the preseason game. So I'm wondering, with Shador starting against the Bills, if he's not going to have the full allotment of the offensive roster when he goes in there. How will that look? But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. This quarterback competition is, at this point, anyone's guess. We truly have no idea who's going to come out on top. People feel like Shador should be the starter. It feels like it makes sense for Shador to be the starter, given what we've seen from Deshaun the last time he played actual football. But in the media, in people, kind of contemplating how the organization feels, they think Deshaun is going to come out on top. We truly have no clue, no idea. We're just gonna all have to watch these games, see what they look like, and hope for the best for the Cleveland Browns as a whole. Which is all we can really do, because both of these quarterbacks, we don't know what's going to happen with either of them. So we've been talking about it all year, all summer, all training camp. But at least we get to see real football coming up this weekend. So love to see that. But next thing I want to talk about, on the depth chart, Denzel Boston, KC Concepcion, starters. And yeah, it's the unofficial depth chart, but Todd kind of hinted at it being, he kind of, showed his hand a little bit talking about the starters, because we'll talk about the offensive line, what he said in a minute. But he said, Denzel's going to be out there with the ones a couple days ago, and he was, and now he's listed as a number, one of the first receivers on the field. So Denzel Boston, KC Concepcion, Jerry Jeudy are your starting receivers. Isaiah Bond, Tylan Wallace, right behind those guys. And I love it. You love to see it. We've been talking ad nauseum about Denzel, about KC, all spring, all summer, all training camp, and the work is paying off. These guys, these two guys feel like absolutely the best receivers on the team. Some of the best players on the offense. Shout out Quinshawn Judkins, shout out Harold Fannin. Um, but these two guys are feeling like they're immediately two of the best players on the offense, damn near on the team. So you love to see them officially take over, those, first team spots. Um, Jerry Jeudy also still first team wide receiver, and that's to be expected. Um, but man, he's been dropping the ball a lot lately. And I don't know if it's possible, if it's feasible, but I really want Isaiah Bond to be that third first team receiver. I really want it to be Boston, KC, Bond out there. When it's all said and done and we line up for week 1 and we're out there in 11 personnel, we know what it's going to be. Whoever the quarterback is, Judkins, Boston, KC, Harold Fannin out there, and I need Isaiah Bond to be that other receiver out there. I don't want at this point, excuse me, at this point, given what we've seen, I don't need Jerry Jeudy out there. On the lowest of keys, I don't need Jerry Jeudy on the roster. But that's actually not feasible. I took a look at SpotRack, and Jerry Jeudy has a $35 million dead cap hit if you cut him or trade him in 2026. So Jerry Jeudy will be a Cleveland Brown in 2026. 2027, we'll see. Probably, given the state of the room, given how good these other receivers have looked already before we've actually played real football, hopefully that translates. Hopefully we get that, when week 1 of the regular season starts, when we play the Jags, then we play the Bucks and the Jets and all those guys. So, hopefully that translates. But we'll see Jerry Jeudy's prospects in the long term. But in the short term, he's going to be on the team. But just because he's on the team and just because his cap hit is what it is, just because his contract is what it is, do we necessarily need to have him out there with the first team? He can rotate in, of course. But does he really need to be the top target on this football team or competing to be the top target on this football team? I don't think so. I don't necessarily think we need that at this stage of the game. And I feel like I'm pretty, I'm okay to say this and speak for Todd Monken, but I feel like if you're out there dropping these passes all the time, Todd Monken's not going to want you out there on the football field. Given, seemingly how he feels about procedural penalties and mishaps and mistakes, dropping the football surely can't be acceptable in this manner, the way we've seen from Jerry Jeudy, unfortunately, across training camp and OTAs and mini camps. So surely if he continues to drop the ball at this rate, what I want won't matter. It'll be what Todd wants, and Todd will get him up out of there. So I guess it's gonna handle itself either way. Either he starts catching the football and plays to the level of his ability that we all know he has. We know he's been a super duper talented wide receiver for the longest time. It's just him being consistent and putting it together week in, week out. I mean, training camp day in, day out. But it just, it comes on sometimes and then it goes off sometimes. So it'll work. I think it'll work itself out. If he's good and he's able, he'll be on the field and hopefully can contribute. But if he's not, I think Todd will be well within his rights to, say, hey, we have guys that can get open and catch the football. We know you can get open. It's just, can you catch the football? So it'll be on him. It'll be on, big number 3 to stay on the field. If he wants to be on the field, it'll be up to him. So that'll work itself out. And then lastly, talking about this O line, talking about the starters on the O line, 4 out of the 5 we know who's going to be out there. Spencer Fano, left tackle, Zion Johnson at guard, Elton Jenkins most likely at center, and then Titus Howard is going to be at right tackle. We just don't know who the right guard is going to be. Either Tevin Jenkins or KT Leviston. And truly, I don't. Whoever they think is the best one to play, I'm good with. I don't really have a strong lean towards either one. The preseason is gonna really be a factor in how that's decided, and maybe Tevin Jenkins' health is going to be a big factor in how that's decided. But again, we're playing real football this week, so I can't wait to watch this, to get the film. We finally get to get some all 22 film coming out of this weekend, so I'll love to see that. Love to break down that in the coming week. But yeah, man, four out of the 5 O-line spots solidified, and this is a good group. I think this is a good group. I'm happy Spencer has solidified himself as the starting left tackle, but I'm also happy DeJuan Jones didn't make it easy. Like, Spencer had to earn it. Spencer had to come out, play well, improve. Before pads got put on, it was looking a little rough. We saw a lot of clips of Jared Verse in the background throughout the summer. We saw some clips of people running free into the end zone. So it wasn't just, automatically Spencer getting put out there. If he is the starter now, he has shown improvement. He has earned it and has garnered the trust of this coaching staff. But given what we know, the starting 5 is going to be, give or take Jenkins or Leviston, you can kind of see the game day roster forming. And I'm wondering, when they cut down to 53 and, when they have 48 active on game day, I'm wondering if they're going to have 8 or 9 offensive linemen. Because, like, if you look at who's probably going to be there, we got the top 4. Jenkins and Leviston are probably going to be active. And then you have DeJuan Jones, and then is it going to be Luke Whippler? Is it going to be Austin Barber? I think if they just want to keep 8 active, I think, assuming Tevin Jenkins is starter at right guard, I think you can get away with just DeJuan Jones, Luke Whippler, and KT Leviston active, because I think those 3 guys in tandem can fill all of the spots. So, like, if Elton Jenkins goes down, you put Whippler in. If let's say Zion Johnson goes down, you could put Elton Jenkins at guard and Whippler at center, or you just put Leviston at guard. Like, I think there's enough versatility between those 8 guys that I think you only need to have 8 guys active, so you can choose what you want to do. Have another DB active, have maybe an extra linebacker, extra defensive lineman, or receiver, however you want to do it. Impact special teams in that way, however you want to do it, with only 8 offensive linemen being active. If you wanted to keep 9, then you throw Austin Barber in there. But truly, the way we've been going, the way we know how the reps have gone and the spots these guys have been in, I think 8 might actually be okay. Hopefully, not there. You don't see too many offensive lineman injuries during the game, but we'll see how that goes. But Preseason coming up this weekend. I'm excited. I keep saying I'm excited because I truly am. Love to watch football. There's football this is dropping on Thursday. There's football tonight. Um, Happy to see it. Happy to see it. I didn't catch a lot of the Hall of Fame game last week. I wasn't truly interested in seeing a lot of the Cardinals and Panthers, but I'll be tuned in all weekend to see these preseason games. And tomorrow I'm dropping, what I want to see because I'm going to Steelers camp over the weekend and I'm going to Baltimore Ravens camp over the weekend. So I'm going to talk about what I want to see in those settings. So that'll be my next video. And then after that, Saturday I'm going to come back, talk about what we saw in the preseason, the Browns preseason game, and then next week break down the film once we get that all 22. But yeah, man, I appreciate you guys being here. Appreciate you guys watching. Again, thank you to all my longtime subscribers, all the new subscribers. Shout out all of you guys. But appreciate you being here. Again, if you haven't already, hit that like button. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video.